My jeans are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has very keen.
I will be the friend that's too woke because those Sydney Sweeney American Eagle ads are weird. Like, fascist weird. Like, Nazi propaganda weird.
TikTok is having an absolute meltdown and smearing a celebrity as a Nazi over a jean commercial. We're going to break this down and so much more on today's episode of the Barad vs. Everyone podcast, my daily show where we take on the craziest ideas across the internet, our media, and our politics, all from an independent perspective. So, guys, I was not super familiar with a young woman, a celebrity and actress named Sydney Sweeney until recently, though now I remember she was in The White Lotus, actually, season 1, which I did like. Anyway, she is at the heart of a massive controversy, a firestorm, a meltdown of epic proportions, honestly, over on TikTok right now, you know, that platform, that gift that keeps on giving in terms of deranged content and slop for this podcast, because she dared, truly audacious fashion, do a collaboration with American Eagle promoting jeans where they made a pun and apparently are now literal Nazis, Hitler, and doing eugenics. I'm not even exaggerating. That is actually how this ad is being received and discussed in TikTok videos receiving millions of views. Here, for your context, now that you know how terrible this ad is, I'll just show you it so you can see the horrors for yourself.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My jeans are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has very keen.
Now, on the commercial side, this ad seems to have been a success, leading to a small bump in American Eagle's stock and lots of buzz online. However, in terms of the online discourse, it's probably not what American Eagle was hoping for, as they are now literally being accused of being Nazi collaborators engaged in fascist propaganda for daring to make a pun between jeans with a J and jeans with a G. Yes, this is the timeline we're in. I hate it here, but without further ado, let's listen to this little compilation I made of TikTok videos from huge videos getting millions of views. Let's take a listen.
You guys are complaining about that Sydney Sweeney jeans ad, so I went and saw it. That's Nazi propaganda. Wow. I thought it was going to be like kind of bad. That's going to be in history book.
I will be the friend that's too woke because those Sydney Sweeney American Eagle ads are weird. Like, fascist weird. Like, Nazi propaganda weird. Would we be surprised that a company whose name is literally American Eagle is making fascist propaganda like this? Probably not, but it's still really shocking. Like, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white woman is talking about her good genes. Like, that is Nazi propaganda.
If you haven't fully comprehended how bad it is, I need you to open your eyeballs and listen. This is Nazi shit. Pure Nazi shit. Saying that a blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl has good genes is Nazi shit. Saying anybody has good genes is eugenics. Blonde hair, blue-eyed, Nazi shit. This pro-Americana bullshit, talking about pure Americans having good genes, this is Nazi shit that people, especially Jews, have been warning about for a very long time. Oh, it's not that big of a deal. Jeans is just a play on jeans. Shut the up. This is Nazi shit.
Sydney Sweeney's jeans ad is giving ethnic state propaganda. It is giving dystopian. It is giving 1940s Germany. And they could have had her said anything. She could have just said, I'm hot, drink my bathwater, here are my jeans. But instead they had her say, genes are passed down from parents to children. I have good genes. My jeans are blue. Why? Yeah, no, that was like the most thinly veiled propaganda I think that I've ever seen. I hate it.
They seem stable. Okay. Are white liberal women okay? Like, I can't be the only one noticing a pattern here. The people who are having hyperbolic meltdowns for no reason on TikTok tend, not exclusively, but tend to be woke white females. Like, I think they might need a new hobby. And why is it that almost uniformly they could not make it through a metal detector? I'm just saying, y'all are giving the piercings community a bad rap with this representation. In all seriousness, though, I can't be the only one who finds this constant invocation of the Nazis really disgusting and distasteful and offensive. They murdered millions of people. And you are trivializing and diminishing the horrors of that regime when you invoke it every single time something slightly triggers your feelings. It's really disgusting and despicable. At the end of the day, guys, this was a pun. It was a pun between jeans with a G and with a J. It's not that deep. This is not Nazi propaganda. Why is normal people will still say, "Oh, you so and so has good genes if you live a long time," or "She's wow, you have amazing cheekbones. You must have really good genes." And it's not referring to being white. It's referring to the fact that Sydney Sweeney, despite what those right-wing men were saying when they said she was mid, I think that was referring to her, is gorgeous, stunning, perfection, like visually. And so that's what they're saying by good genes. The pun is not about her being white. There is no aspect of racial supremacy anywhere in this ad. You guys are filling in that blank. It's just about her saying she has good genes. And then some of it's just stating factually true statements like genes are passed down from your parents and they determine your appearance and your personality. Like, that's just true. Y'all are triggered by the statements of literal facts to some extent. And I can't take this out of the context of it being American Eagle. They work with models of color and different minorities all the time. This is not some far-right brand. Like, as if they only uplift white blonde women. That is something you are hallucinating, babe. You are. Remember that the doctor gave you that bottle with those little pills that you're supposed to take twice a day. And if you don't, the visions start coming back. You have to keep taking them, or we end up with this. Like, and I love how they just like assert this over and over and just insult you if you disagree, but they never really explain it because they can't. I mean, wow. Just wow. Now, guys, we're going to get into the eugenics narrative. They are literally accusing American Eagle and Sydney Sweeney of eugenics on TikTok. We're going to explain what that is and what that isn't after this.
Are you curious about Bitcoin, but you feel like it's too complicated to get started? Well, you're not alone. With inflation decreasing the value of the dollar, many of us are looking for ways to invest and diversify. That's where Coinbits comes in. They make investing and saving Bitcoin easy through their Roundups feature. Here's how it works. Link your debit card or bank account, and every time you make a purchase, Coinbits rounds it up to the nearest dollar and saves your spare change in Bitcoin. No technology experience or extra work is needed. It's a set it and forget it way to invest and save Bitcoin without having to think about it. Plus, Coinbits is a trusted family-owned business built right here in the USA with top-tier customer support. Stop waiting and overthinking Bitcoin. You can sign up for Coinbits and get started in just under 3 minutes. Head to coinbits.app/Brad and start your Bitcoin journey effortlessly. That's coinbits.app/Brad or the link in the description. Just a reminder, this is not financial advice and you should always do your own research. Now, back to today's show.
Okay, guys, hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed if you aren't yet. And remember, you can watch the Brad versus Everyone podcast here on YouTube, but you can also listen on audio podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, yada, yada, yada. Do check that out, all linked in the description. Now, guys, we're going to take a look at another TikTok compilation where they are unironically suggesting that American Eagle and Sydney Sweeney, for this horrendous ad that I showed you, are promoting eugenics. Let's hear them out. Maybe the math will math this time. Don't hold your breath.
American Eagle, who is in charge of your marketing department? Joseph Goebbels? A strawberry blonde, blue-eyed woman marketing having great genes. Would you do this with a model of color? Think about it. Would you? I don't think so. I'll believe it when I see it. This is just a whole fucking eugenics campaign, and I, for one, would like to throw myself off a balcony. I'll be honest, you sort of know intellectually going into it that fascism is going to be bad, but you're never quite prepared to see 1930s German propaganda updated for millennial core.
This was Sydney's script. Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits such as hair color, personality, and even eye color. As the camera pans up to meet her gaze, she says, "My genes are blue." Followed by the lovely campaign tagline, "Sydney Sweeney has great genes." This feels like as loud a dog whistle as we've had in retail marketing recently, and it just feels important to call out the Make Eugenics Sexy Again campaign strategy behind all of this.
So despite being in a very deep, debilitating depression rut to where I've struggled to do anything else other than lay on my couch, I felt like this advertisement was too important not to talk about, especially in the political climate that we're in, so let's talk about it, because this is literal eugenics slapping everyone in the face. And the reason why I say this so bluntly is because the only people that I've seen actually call this eugenics and say what needs to be said about this advertisement are disabled people and women of color, the two demographics of people who are literally the most impacted by eugenics.
These people are so exhausting. And I mean, I'm the last lady. I'm sorry, but if you are so depressed you can't even get out of bed, like, maybe worry about yourself. We don't need your political commentary. Anyway, though, aside from, again, the frivolous and nonstop invocations of the Nazis that diminish the Holocaust and insult the Jewish people and the other victims of that terrible regime, I do want to talk about this eugenics. It's like all these people just learned a new word, but I don't think they know what that actually means. So let's talk about it. The National Institutes of Health defines eugenics as the use of selective breeding to improve the human race. And there were a lot of pseudoscientific ideas about heritability and about the roles that genetics play in determining human behavior that were baked into eugenics, historically speaking, in the Nazi regime and others like it. And then also really disturbing and dark stuff, both in places like Nazi Germany, but also in America's history, such as forced sterilizations to stop people with undesirable characteristics from reproducing and so on. And a lot of it ignores the actual benefits of diversity in both the genetic pool and the human race. And of course, it violates people's human rights to engage in those kinds of practices, even if some genes can be problematic for health or other reasons. So it is obviously, a very dark and discredited philosophy in some ways, but there is no eugenics in the video we watched. All she does is acknowledge the existence of genes. Genetics does not equal eugenics. These are different concepts. And simply acknowledging that some genes are good, like if you're really beautiful and have a lot of amazing physical attributes, is not eugenics. There's like many leaps that have to happen before you would get to eugenics. Like the idea that you would breed people to promote those traits and you would sterilize other people to get rid of undesirable traits and that you could build a perfect society and all these dark and dystopian things. None of that's anywhere in this ad. There is literally no reason to believe that Sydney Sweeney or American Eagle believe in any of that. They just pointed out that this beautiful person has good genes, which is, again, a normal thing that lots of people say that is not directly linked with eugenics because they want you to associate being hot and like physical perfection, which she is dang near close to, with their genes. And it is, again, a pun. Not everything is that deep, y'all. Not everything is a sinister fascist plot. I mean, American Eagle is literally not some right-wing company, right? It is a socially progressive company in some ways. Even in 2025, they did major pride marketing campaigns and pride lines. So you cannot tell me, of course, featuring lots of diverse racial groups and gender identities and all sorts of things. This is not some like secret, covert, Trump-loving brand. That's not it. Y'all are hallucinating again. Remember that, those pills. You're supposed to take them twice a day, the doctor's orders. And what's sad about this to me is that Sydney Sweeney actually tried to do something nice. So, reading here from the Daily Mail, one of the products that she is doing, the Sydney Gene, she is donating 100% of the purchase price, which is nearly €70 or $90, to Crisis Text Line, a domestic abuse charity offering confidential mental health support to victims. These jeans have a butterfly motif on the back that represents domestic violence awareness, which Sydney is passionate about. So this is a woke company partnering with a celebrity who was actually trying to do something nice, who dared use a pun and reference uncontroversial things in real life that apparently trigger extremists on TikTok, and they have been met with an absolute meltdown of epic proportions. Guys, these are not fringe videos. I didn't cherry pick a couple people with 100 likes. Millions and millions and millions and millions of views on these videos. People are buying this absurd fear-mongering. And part of the problem with that is that then it waters down these warnings and these words and these meanings and allows and gives cover for actually disturbing things, actually racist things, actual pro-Nazi things that we're going to talk about in this very podcast in another segment. Because when you call everything a Nazi, nothing is a Nazi then. Like, these people, I don't think they understand how deranged or how harmful this actually is. But I do, and I had to share all of my thoughts with you guys because that's what I do on this podcast. Let me know what you think. Have you seen this outrage campaign on social media, and did you find it as ridiculous as I do? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to subscribe if you aren't yet. Do hit that like button. Remember to send in your voicemails. The link is in the description to send in a voice note with your woke horror story, your personal life situation, or any questions you guys have for me. And then I will respond to those on an upcoming Voicemail Friday episode of this podcast. Up next, another lovely influencer is calling for Trump's assassination, because that is a thing that apparently people do now, and it's okay and fine and dandy. So here is an Australian woman named Abby Chatfield. I've never heard of her, but apparently she's a semi-relevant Australian celebrity turned woke social media influencer. Here she is with a not so thinly veiled call for Trump to be shot. Let's take a listen to this.
Americans, when are you going to do it? Why isn't it already done? Every day there's another happening, right? Awful for your country. Awful, right? Why don't we redirect this energy to something else? You know? There's all these incels that are going, oh, what the fuck me? So they go and do. You know what would actually make people respect you a little bit and make people want you? Is if you did it. You get heaps of fan mail. Oh my God. Just do it. Like, you're all doing it every day anyway. Like, I don't get it.
There's so many levels to this where it's so bizarre and so disgusting. One, does she think there's like literally just mass shootings every day in America? Because that is not true. That is just not true. And does she think like incel violence? She's referring to men who are involuntarily celibate, who basically can't get laid. Does she think that's like a daily occurrence, or there are just thousands of violent incels? It's not non-existent, to be clear, but it's not a super common thing. This woman seems to have a lot of misperceptions about America and how it works. And I also find it hilarious because it's like, so many people in other countries are obsessed with American politics, and in reality, like, we don't think about your politics at all. Like, I don't think about Anthony Albanese very much, if at all. Sorry, I just don't. And the idea that Trump is affecting you so profoundly as an Australian, like, just to ignore him, aside from trade deals or some immigration stuff or where it intersects with Australia, I mean, you might find it interesting. I'm not going to deny he's an important world leader, but for you to be so obsessed with him and so deranged in your hatred is giving mental illness. It's like, that's not normal. That's not the sign of a stable adult. And then we haven't even gotten into the evil and grotesque nature of calling for the assassination of a political figure, but also I love how like Australia has very censorious laws, like very anti-free speech. But like is this just fine then? Is this okay? Like yikes. Yikes. And yeah, it's actually bad to murder people because you disagree with them. And it would make literally nothing better in America. You'd get President J.D. Vance, congrats, arguably to the right of Donald Trump, and you would have a torn apart country. You would have radicalism like you've never seen before on the MAGA side, and everything would get worse. So, I mean, whether you like him, whether you support him, whether you hate him with a passion, you should not support someone taking the law into their own hands or like going Rambo and rogue and killing a person because of political disagreements. That is terrorism, FYI. So you're supporting terrorism. And it would make everything worse. And again, like if you wouldn't support this being done to the people you like, which of course I wouldn't either, whether this person maybe likes Obama or Kamala or whoever, you can't just have it one way. Either in America we do and stand for political violence or we don't. I'm in the don't category across the board. But crazies like this just hate Trump so much that they're willing to plunge our country into chaos or cheer on literal terrorism for the meme or whatever. I don't know, but it's dark, it's disturbing, and really, I mean, unfortunately, it's somewhat widespread sentiment. It's not an entirely fringe phenomenon. I wish it was, but it simply is not. What do you guys think? Have you seen this kind of thing? Do you know who this lady is outside of this? I don't, but maybe I'm not exactly the most culturally informed and up to date. That would be a fair assessment of me, honestly. Okay, speaking of Hitler and Nazis, because I guess that's what we do on this podcast when Sydney Sweeney dares make an advertisement, we're going to talk about the Fresh and Fit podcast, which is a red pill podcast by two guys. One of them is Myron Gaines, and the other one, I don't know his name. Very unhinged. They're like, they present themselves as alpha males, but they're, especially Myron, is very crazy, very anti-Semitic, very extreme, kind of rage baiters. But they took that to a new level with this recent clip that's going mega viral, where you remember everything they said about the Sydney Sweeney ad, how it was like fascism because she looked good in jeans and is blonde, and they said it's like Nazi shit or whatever. This actually is. Listen to this.
What do you guys think about Hitler?
What if the Jewish did something to the Germans that made them act a certain way, but nobody wants to talk about it? Like the Jews don't want to take accountability.
They don't. That's
Yes.
I'm with you on that one.
Okay.
That's why like there was up to something, so the Germans wanted to take them out.
Like payback.
It had to be something. Like Germans wanted to take them out, all of them out.
They damn near wiped everybody off
something.
the map.
Something.
They started it.
To get somebody
Damn,
that
he
mad.
choosing hard. Like, yeah, talk shit about them. Eat them up.
The Holocaust was the only way he can take out a huge population, like a huge amount of Jews all in one setting. But I already know what's going on. Like, I'm not dumb. Like, I know, like, the Jews did something. That's why they sent up here. They're trying to take back, like, they're trying to take back and get repercussions, especially from America, like, from Americans. So they're taking over the government and stuff like that.
I'm telling you, how do we take them down?
How do we take them down?
Yeah.
I mean,
gotta kill the motherfuckers.
I hate to say it.
My bad, y'all. My bad.
Hitler, he had the plan, but his plan was just too, like, very, like, gruesome, if we can say it.
Listen,
He said,
he had to do what he had to do.
But he had to do it.
He was like,
Listen, he was trying to save the world.
I
It didn't
agree.
work out. He did. Listen, he just did
I
what he
mean,
had to do.
Jews are the reason why the healthcare system and everything around us in the government is collapsing, because they're sitting up here stealing away from the American people.
This is actually evil. Like, this is actually straight up Nazi shit. I don't know how to tell you this. Like, actually, Hitler was not, in fact, right when he murdered millions of innocent people. Not just Jews, but yes, primarily targeting Jews. He was actually evil and bad. And you're not edgy or cool. This woman, first of all, that they're all laughing at and agreeing with, sounds illiterate. She genuinely sounds like she can't read. But regardless, I do think we're going to have to call up President Trump and get a 1,000% tariff on podcast equipment, because the podcasts are out of control. Like, not everybody needs or should have a microphone, clearly, as we have seen. And, and I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that the Jews were not, in fact, up to something or did something to justify being holocausted. Like, do you hear yourself? There is nothing any group, first off, they weren't doing anything, but there's literally nothing any group of people could do that would justify exterminating or attempting to exterminate their whole kind of people. You sound sick in the head. You genuinely sound deranged. And this kind of thing is now like normalized. We've gone so far. I always describe American politics as pendulum swings. And just a few years ago, people were freaking getting canceled over emoji colors. Like, there's a tweet from Conan Gray, the pop star, who, by the way, I love, in 2020, where he apologizes for using darker skin color emojis than his skin color, because apparently that was offensive to minority communities. Well, obviously the wokeism and the hypersensitivity and the microaggressions and all that bullshit, people are so sick of that. But now it's like, what, does anything go? Can you just say anything, no matter how racist, how vile, how bigoted, how evil, and people will laugh at it, or they'll just monetize it as rage bait content? I think society is going too far in the opposite direction. Canceling people frivolously is obviously wrong and evil, but so is having literally no standards whatsoever. So is like laughing at or joking about, I really don't think it's a joke at this point, the most evil things in human history and justifying them. And I'm sorry, but even like the whole thing about, oh, Jews control our government and our healthcare is literally not true. And blaming Jews for the fact that you're broke is peak victim, pathetic behavior. Blaming any group of people for the fact that your life is a failure, in reality, it's mostly you, babe. In most cases, it's mostly you. And they always want to victimize themselves and scapegoat some group of people, bigots. And that's, I think the Jews throughout human history have tragically been like a scapegoat that people have gravitated towards, but it's that pathetic human impulse to excuse and explain away your own personal failings by blaming another group of people. That is the root of bigotry and the root of evil, and I think in part the root of anti-Semitism. We also should probably talk about this, and this is going to be like controversial or edgy, I guess to say, but I honestly just don't care. We do have to talk about anti-Semitism, particularly in the Black community. Of course, not all or not even most Black people are anti-Semitic. However, there's like a specific subset of Black culture, pockets of it, where anti-Semitism, extreme anti-Semitism like this, is just like common. And I think anybody who's encountered this content or these spaces knows that. And it's not like racist to call that out. It's actually treating people equally. Like, I'm going to call you out. I'm not going to not call out the fact that a portion of your culture is deeply anti-Semitic just because you're Black. Like, no, that would be, if anything, treating you differently because of your race. And again, not all Black people, not most Black people. And if you're one of the Black people who is not like this is not on you. But in the pockets where this is tolerated or where this is viewed as funny or edgy or like, ha ha ha, oh my gosh, Hitler was right. Like, y'all need to check yourselves, because it's disgusting and it's genuinely dangerous, dehumanizing rhetoric. I know people overuse this kind of stuff all the time, but in this case, it genuinely is. It's evil, and y'all come off just like as the worst possible combination of low IQ and sick in the head. Other than that, though, the Red Pill podcasts are doing amazing. Absolutely amazing. All right, guys, that'll be it for today's episode of the Barad versus Everyone podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please do make sure you're subscribed if you aren't yet. Do hit that like button before you go. Comment with your thoughts. I do take the time to read the comments. I used to read every single comment. I can't now. There's too many, but I do read a lot of them. So do comment with your thoughts. Remember to send in your voicemails for our Voicemail Friday episodes, link in the description. You can also check out our merch items for your Delulu is showing, On My Last Brain Cell, and more. Thank you to Coinbits for sponsoring today's episode, and we'll talk again real soon.